one verse, and that is verse 7, where he says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." The kind of knowledge that will get you through this life here on earth, that comes from having a high respect and regard for God. The fear of the Lord can include abject kind of fear, because there are consequences for how we live our lives. We will be judged. And so it's important that we respect him and do our ultimate best to live according to his will, not just for him, but for us too, because that's really what's best for us. And so that is the beginning of knowledge. First thing you need to know is how to respect God. And if you despise that wisdom and instruction from God, you're a fool. Simple as that. So with that in mind, we'll go to verse 10 of Proverbs chapter 1. And for the next little while, he's going to be giving a caution against getting into the wrong crowd. Evil companionships corrupt good morals, kind of thing. So Solomon, speaking to Rehoboam and us by way of same thing applies to us as it applies to Rehoboam. If sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, "Come with us, let us lie in wait, shed blood, let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our hearts, our houses with spoil." It doesn't end what he's talked about. It goes on to our next page, to our next slide, but I'm not going to go any farther at the moment. But he's mentioning some pretty nasty stuff, right? Basically, let's go kill people so we can get their stuff. Now, that is the extreme of following after sinful people. But the principle applies obviously to anybody that's doing anything against God. If somebody's trying to entice you, I don't know, probably everybody that ever went through high school, maybe not everybody, but I know I did, had people, "Hey, let's go get some alcohol, let's go do this." Or then when I worked at American Can Company, I had guys trying to get me to smoke marijuana and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's fun. It's really good. We'll had a lot of fun and all that kind of stuff. But if it's not according to God's will, do not consent. What does that imply? Do not consent.
I strengthen character, adhere to your principles.
Okay.
But do not go along with what they're doing. Just say no.
Okay. Well, what I'm thinking, you guys are all right on that. What that implies is you have the ability to consent or not. That's an important thing. Who was it? Which one of the comedians used to say, "The devil made me do it"? No, the devil can't make you do anything. You have to consent. And so that's an important thing. If they try to get you to do stuff that you shouldn't do, you have this choice. Don't say yes. Don't consent. Don't go along with it. And he just mentions all these things. I think most of them don't need any explanation, really. He's just describing the worst kind of crowd that you can get into. Barbara?
Well, and it's not only taking possession, but they're shedding blood. They don't care if they kill or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody know what that refers to? Yeah, the realm of the dead. And we think of hell. And that's what happens when we die, is you get swallowed up into the realm of the dead. And he's just saying, and whole like those who go down to the pit, just we're taking their entire being, we're taking their entire life. We don't care about them. We just want what they have. And the pit is another reference to the realm of the dead, to Satan's dwelling place. And so he says, let's do these bad things. And here's why in verse 13, we shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. So the motive behind doing these bad stuff to people, killing them, and going after the innocent without cause. That phrase is worth talking about too. When he says going after looking secretly for the innocent without cause, it's not saying that you don't have a cause. It's saying there's no reason to. The innocent person did not do one thing to you that would warrant you treating them this way. You're just going out of them, out of your own selfishness, and there's no, you can't justify, say, well, he did this to me, so I'm doing this. No, they're innocent. Going after them, they didn't do anything to you, and you're just going at. That's the kind of people that Solomon's talking about. Don't get involved with that kind of people. You don't want to do that. Looking forward a few years when when Rehoboam did take over, he had advisors that were saying, what? Tax the people even worse than they already are. Were they actually encouraging this kind of thing? Regardless of what, don't worry about what happens then. Just get their money, and then we can do good stuff with it. You just need to get more money for the treasury, and you can have a good time and whatever you want to do with it. So immediately when he took over, he did consent. He listened to those guys that were saying, treat other people, they don't deserve it. They're just common folks. They don't really deserve to be taxed to death, but let's do it anyway. If they die, so what? We'll be getting our stuff. So you can see that a lot of this didn't soak into Rehoboam, and we want to make sure that that doesn't happen to us too. We need to let it soak in. We need to listen. I mean, Rehoboam had it from the horse's mouth. I mean, he literally listened to his father and had it right out of his mouth, and then he didn't do it. And so we don't want to be like that. So he continues saying, we're going to find all kinds of stuff, and we'll be getting rich. And then they say, cast your lot amongst us. Let us all have one purse. That's interesting too. That's
Light should go up.
yeah.
The group of no goods say, oh, let's all put it in together.
Yeah, exactly. And why is that a problem? Exactly. So this is the gang mentality that he's talking about. The idea of belonging, to be in a brotherhood. We're in this together. I mean, you go to Chicago and you look at the gangs and stuff that they have there. These kids, young kids, they don't have a father. They don't have any direction to go in. Don't have anybody pointing them in a good direction. People need people. People need companionship of some sort of another, and they need to feel like they belong somewhere. And this is a really good place because these guys try to encourage you to be part of the gang. And why do they want to get you in the gang? They want your stuff, or they want you to help them get somebody else's stuff. And so, and we'll just share. We'll all be sharing alike. But does that ever happen that way? No, it doesn't. And so, this gang mentality that people fall victim to all the time. Even now, junior high is a hard place to be. You know, you've all heard of Mean Girls. These cliques that say bad stuff about other people and just want you to be on, oh, don't associate with them. Uh, let's fill their locker full of whatever, just doing stuff like that. That goes on all the time, even in our age. And our kids, children, grandchildren need to be warned about that and be prepared for it so that they can just laugh and say, not me, buddy. I'm not gonna get involved in that kind of stuff. So he's just saying, do not walk in the way with them. Keep your foot from their path. Don't even walk with them or walk in the same place. If you see them, what do? I want to go the other way. I'm going to get on the other side of the street, or I'm going to go, you go straight, I'll turn down here, whatever. I'm not even going to begin to hang out with these guys. Because if you do, if you start, then everybody knows what happens there. The peer pressure gets to you after a while. And then he says, verse 16, that word for, which means here's why. Here's why. Why I don't get involved with them is because their feet run to evil and they make haste shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. What do you think that means?
You're trapped.
Okay, you'll get trapped. And how is it that you won't get trapped if you got your eyes open? If you see the trap set right in front of you, even a bird knows not to get in the trap if he sees it being set. If he's watching that, that's what he's saying here. If you want to trap a bird, you wait till he's gone from the nest or whatever, set the trap and go away. Then when he comes, he might come and get in the trap. But even a bird doesn't fall for that stuff. So he's saying, I'm telling you this stuff, don't fall for it. I'm letting you see the trap that they're setting. I don't want you to fall for it. But he says the net is spread in vain in the sight of any bird, but they, and who's the they? The sinners, the bad people that are trying to get you to come with them, they lie in wait for their own blood. They lurch secretly for their own lives. These guys are not too bright. They think they're setting a net or setting a trap for all these people that they're going to harm and get their stuff. But who's really getting trapped? They are, because what's going to happen? What happens when you get trapped? You get caught and bound, and
Like gangs now, if you try to get out, they'll kill you.
they'll kill you. But also, how do all these gang members end up? Either dead or where? In jail. They're really setting a trap for themselves, because you can't live that kind of life and get away with it. It doesn't work. You think you can, but it doesn't work that way. So what he's saying is, even a stupid bird knows not to go in the trap. But these guys not only go in the trap, but they set the trap for themselves without even knowing it. And they think they're got this great plan, but you look back through history and everybody that's ever had that kind of plan, what happened to them? And it ended up, things didn't go well for them down through the years. The Third Reich, for example, wanted to conquer the world. They put the Jewish people in prisons and killed them. And why? To get their stuff. Those warehouses were full of Jewish art, famous Picassos and all that kind of stuff that they had collected after the Allies had ended the war. They went into these warehouses and found all this stuff that they'd been stockpiling, and where were they? They're in the grave. It doesn't work, and so they're really setting a trap for themselves. And Rehoboam, I want you to see that. it's not a good, it's not good what they do when they try to get you to do stuff against God's will. They're really setting a trap for themselves because it won't go well. So he says in verse 19, so are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners. If, if you're greedy for gain, what do? You spend all your time trying to get more and stuff, and you don't live your life. Either doing it illegally and constantly worried about getting caught or whatever, or even if you're just doing it legally, it's never enough. You just keep trying more and more and more, and your life under the sun doesn't mean much because you can't take it with you when you go. No matter how much you collect, you can't take it with you. And so it takes your life away if you're greedy for gain. So that is an important lesson that Rehoboam should have learned, one that we need to learn as well, pay attention to.
You can't create bone plants. You have any idea at all?
No, I don't know if,
When you're between, I don't know, 17, 25, you don't think that's gonna happen.
You don't listen.
You don't listen, you know,
Yeah.
you're just like, I know what I'm doing, I'm holding up to it.
yeah, well, see, we don't know. I don't even know if we can determine how old he was when he took over from when Solomon died, but obviously Solomon is still alive and writing this to him or telling him this stuff. And so he probably was a young person, teenage or 20s or something like that. And that's just a guess, but right.
Think back to your own age of that, you know, I can think of so many things that I was like, oh, I was so dumb.
Yeah.
You know?
But also if you think back, at least in my case, I think back to some of the things that I was encouraged to do or actually did. I actually knew I knew the right way. I just didn't let it register, I guess you'd say. I just let myself be swayed by the thrill of doing something or, just wanting to be part of or whatever. And that's a really important thing. And so that's why he cautioned so much about getting into the wrong crowd, getting in with the wrong kind of people. Gene?
Bottom line is sinfulness feeds on selfishness.
Yeah, it does. Um, the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. It's the love of things that can get you in trouble if you don't follow God's will, if you don't fear God. Okay, so now Solomon switches. He gets off the subject of don't get into the wrong crowd. Now he's going to personify wisdom as a woman, and I can't tell you why, but maybe it's because women are well, they are intelligent, but they're more tender and
Perceptive.
yeah, and pleading, or let's face it, who are you more likely to listen to when you're a teenager, your mom or your dad? Usually it's your mom because she's the one that's brought you up and raised you and all that kind of stuff, and you know how much she loves you and cares for you and everything, and so that's probably why he personifies wisdom as a woman, because he's going to be saying wisdom shouts out from and says this, encouraging things. So let's just look and see what he says. First of all, he says wisdom calls aloud outside. She raises her voice in the open squares. What that means is you don't have to go into some hiding place or some secret place to find wisdom. She's shouting it out in the streets. It's available to everyone, everywhere, And verse 21 says, she cries out in the chief concourses at the openings of the gates of the city. She speaks her words. The gates of the city, usually there was a courtyard right inside the gate, a place where people could come and they might have to check in with their version of customs or whatever. But it was just a place where people would gather to hang out with each other in their spare time. And that's why he talks about the gates. It's just where everybody gathers, everybody hears news and that sort of thing. So wisdom is there. She's everywhere. All you have to do is open your eyes to wisdom. Verse 22, he says, how long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? That word simple, that means ignorant or naive or foolish or gullible. All of those things. How long are you gonna let yourself be part of that description? What's the answer to that? If you're ignorant, what do you want to do? You want to gain knowledge, right? Ignorance means somebody that doesn't know anything. So what is the beginning of knowledge? The fear of the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. How long are you going to ignore God? How long are you going to just be happy with being ignorant and gullible and foolish? When are you going to want knowledge? When are you going to start respecting God and learn what he wants for your life?
Acquire some wisdom.
Yeah. How long until you decide you're going to inquire some and get some wisdom? That's what Ecclesiastes is all about. I set about to find out how to get through this. What is the wise way to live your life? And so he's saying, stop being happy with where you are. Get knowledge, learn how to live your life. And here's why. He says, because scorners delight in their scorning and fools hate knowledge. A scorner is somebody that's boasting, mocking, deriding, just saying bad stuff, the mean girls kind of thing. That's well, just go back. How long will you love simplicity? He's saying the opposite. Stop loving simplicity. And here's why. Because scorners, people that don't have the knowledge of God, they're just tickled to death about their mocking and deriding. They laugh behind people's backs and just think that they're so cool being that way. And they hate knowledge. They don't want to really know anything about the people that they're saying bad stuff about, or they don't uh, they don't care about learning how to get along with folks and uh, you know being a good person, following after what God would have them to do. They don't care about that. They just want to mock and deride people, that sort of thing. And so he tells Rehoboam, verse 23, turn at my rebuke. Now, I said he tells, but it's not he, it's she. He's personifying wisdom. She's saying, turn at my rebuke. When I tell you, no, that's not the right way to live, I want you to turn. And what is another word in the New Testament for turn?
Yeah.
Repent. And repent is a change of mind, which is brought about by godly sorrow, which leads to a change of life. And so change your life when you hear me, wisdom, telling you stuff. No, that's not the way to live your life. Turn, change, start living a different way. I will make my words known to you. And so he's saying, oh, pardon me, I missed part of it. Surely I will pour out my spirit on you. This is wisdom talking again. The spirit of wisdom is wisdom itself, knowing how to do stuff. I'll pour out my spirit on you. That word literally in the Hebrew means energy of life. Wisdom, when you live by wisdom, that's what gives you the energy of life. That's what energizes you to live the way that you need to live, that you really want to live, the best way to live. She says, I will make my words known to you. Again, it's not a secret, but when she says, I'll make my words known, what has to happen? You got to listen, right? Yeah. I mean, it's right there. I mean, you're constantly getting advice from all places, it's out there. You don't have to go on some trek up to the top of the Himalaya mountains to find wisdom. It's there. It's in the streets. It's everywhere, crying out to you. I'll make it known, but you got to listen. Uh, I can say it all I want, but if you don't listen, it's not going to do you any good. Then he says, verse 24, because I have called you and you refused, I have stretched out my hand and no one regarded. Notice I put a line through this just because the sense of the Hebrew is easier to get if you just read it this way. He's saying all these things because I've called you, stretched out my hand, and no one regarded, and you disdained and ignored all my counsel, and you would have none of my rebuke. So this because is all of these things happening. I've stretched out my hand, you didn't listen, you've disdained my counsel, would have none of my rebuke. Because of that, you ignored everything that I was saying. Here's what's going to happen. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your terror comes. When your terror comes like a storm and your destruction comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you. So because you ignored me crying out in the streets, he's still personifying wisdom as this a woman. I cried out in the streets and you didn't listen. And so since you didn't, here's what's going to happen. When bad stuff starts happening to you, when the terror comes, what's going to happen? What's wisdom going to do? You are so stupid. I'm just going to laugh right back at you. And it's because you didn't listen to me. You didn't have to go through all this. You didn't have to have these times of terror and dread. Um, she had just talked about people that mock and ridicule the scorners. That's what they do is ridicule and deride. Well, that word mock there, that's what that means as well. You've been scorning me, so guess what I'm going to do? I will scorn you. I will mock and deride you because I told you, I gave you every chance. I'm out there in the streets proclaiming myself to you. You don't listen. So when the bad stuff starts happening to you, I'm just going to say, you got what you deserve, pal. And that's exactly what's going to happen when this distress and anguish comes upon you. Then he says in verse 28, or she says in verse 28, then they will call on me, but I will not answer. Hey, I need some of that wisdom. When you're lying in the street, somebody beating you up because you stole their stuff or whatever, when you're sitting in jail, oh, where's that wisdom? Sorry, pal, but you had your chance. That kind of thing, I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me. So you have a chance as you grow older to learn wisdom. But if you don't, when the consequences come, it's too late. It's not saying that you can't, okay, I'm 47 years old now and I've really messed up my life. It's not saying that you can't change and follow after God and learn the ways, but as long as you're in that frame of mind, you can call on wisdom all you want, but it's not gonna get there. You have to have the right attitude towards God. Then verse 29, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, they would have none of my counsel and despised my every rebuke. Here's what's going to happen. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their own way and be filled to the full with their own fancies. And so that word hate in the Bible, it, uh, it can refer to hate like we think of it, you know, totally despise somebody. But more often than not in the Bible, it's talking more about loving something else more than you love that. In this case, he's talking about a strong rejection. They're saying, I don't want knowledge. Get it away from me. I want to do what I want to do. I got a hard pass on wisdom. I don't care what you say. And because they did that, then and they wouldn't listen to the counsel. They spurned every encouragement to change. And since they did all that, therefore, the conclusion is what's going to happen is they're going to eat the fruit of their own way. What goes around comes around. I know there's another idiom about eating. I can't think of what it is now. If anybody can think of it, let me know. But Gene, did you have something else you want to say?
I was gonna say, sin has its own consequences in this life. Either you sin and you repent of it, you still often have consequences of it to deal with.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can be forgiven, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be consequences all your life for something that you've done. Okay. Yeah. Well, still trying to think of that. I guess I can't think of it right off, but the idea of choking on their own, what they've been feeding themselves, they end up choking on it. And bottom line is that you have to pay the consequences for the way that you've lived your life. That's what that idiom here he's talking about. Eat the fruit of their own way and be filled to the full with all their own fancies. The word fancy means plans and desires. I fancy to do this or fancy that. That we don't say that too much anymore. But so all their plans and desires, that's what they're gonna have to feed on, because they didn't listen to wisdom. So that is well, okay. So the next verse 32. For the turning away of the simple will slay them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. So there's another, here's why. The turning away of the simple is going to slay them. Complacency of fools will destroy them. What is complacency?
Here.
Yeah, just total lack of motivation. Well, you can't live like that. You have to fear God. You have to respect him and make it a point to live the way he wants to live. Because if not, later on in Proverbs, what does he say? Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider ways and be wise. You lay in bed, they're working and they get what they need. They have enough for the winter when they're working all summer to get it. Well, in that same principle is what he's talking about here. Complacency of fools is going to destroy them. Whoever listens to me will dwell safely. Who's me? Wisdom. If you listen to wisdom, you'll dwell safely and will be secure and without fear of evil. So, this is wisdom being personified as a woman. He's going to stop that basically right now at the end of the chapter 1 and go into another way of talking here. But obviously, what he's saying in a nutshell is wisdom's out there. It's everywhere. Wisdom wants you to learn it and follow after it. It's there for you if you take it. But if you decide you want to go your own way and don't care what wisdom has to say, what's going to be the ultimate end? Your destruction. It's not going to go well for you if you don't seek wisdom. So that's Proverbs chapter 1. Super good advice for all of us. We need to be learning all the time. That's what wisdom is the proper application of knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, you can't have wisdom, because that's what wisdom is applying the knowledge that you have in a right way. That's why he says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Knowledge is the first thing, but to get that, you have to have the fear of the Lord. Otherwise, the knowledge you get, you may or may not be able to trust it. If it's not from the Lord, it may or may not be true, may not be something that's good. So you need to get knowledge, because without that, you can't have wisdom. And you need to follow after wisdom. You need to listen to wisdom in order to have this life where you dwell safely and securely in your life. Otherwise, many evil things will come on you. Consequences of evil will be chasing you every moment of your life. Being in the wrong crowd, people will treat you the way that they treat everybody else, and the way that you've been treating everybody else. They don't care whether you're one of them or not. If you got something they want, they'll take it, that sort of thing. But if you want to dwell safely, listen to wisdom. Follow after the knowledge that God can give us. So that's the end of personification for now, and our time is just about up. So any questions or comments? If not, thank you guys for your attention for class, and we'll be back together again for worship in a little while.